We all deal with different kinds of stress. But did you know that chronic stress, apart from making you feel overwhelmed, can actually change the structure of your brain? Not just how it functions, but its actual physical shape. In this video, I'll break down how this happens in a very simple way and also highlight ways to prevent it. Medically speaking, stress is the body's response to pressure. That pressure might be physical, emotional, or mental. And when it hits, your body responds with changes in nearly every system. These changes occur due to hormones, which are the body's chemical messengers. Think of them like the body's social media system. Now, these changes are designed to protect you, but when stress becomes chronic or sustained, those same protective systems can start doing damage. So how does the stress response system work? When you perceive a threat, whether it's a loud bang, a job deadline from your boss, or a fierce-looking dog barking at you on your morning walks, your brain kicks off a stress response that triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones are released from your adrenal glands, which are the little glands sitting on top of your kidneys. Adrenaline makes your heart beat faster, increases your blood pressure, and gives you more energy. At this stage, you are now in a fight or flight mode. On the other hand, cortisol, which is the main stress hormone, tells your liver to release glucose, which gives your muscles and brain a quick energy supply and helps your brain use that glucose more efficiently. It also temporarily suppresses systems that are not essential for immediate survival, such as digestion and reproductive functions. Now, if the threat passes, cortisol levels drop to baseline and you reset. But if the threat persists, or if your brain keeps perceiving danger, cortisol stays high, and that's where the brain starts to change. It works pretty much like your house fire alarm system. When there is smoke or fire, it goes off, and this helps you respond appropriately to identify and deal with the source of danger. Very useful. But imagine that alarm never stops, even when there is no smoke or fire. Eventually, it becomes a real nuisance. It can drive you crazy. And that's exactly what cortisol does when it stays elevated for too long. There are three key brain regions affected by cortisol that we need to remember. The first is the memory center, also called the hippocampus. Sounds like hippopotamus, right? Number two is the fear and anxiety center, called the amygdala. And finally, the planning and control center, called the prefrontal cortex. First, let's look at the hippocampus, the memory center. It is packed with receptors for cortisol. Think of receptors as comfortable sofas designed for cortisol to sit on. It's important to note that in short bursts, cortisol actually enhances memory. That's why it remembers shocking moments so vividly. But over time, high cortisol shrinks the hippocampus. It does this by damaging the tiny branches that connect brain cells, which are called dendrites, and slowing down the birth of new brain cells, a process known as neurogenesis. The result of this, the hippocampus shrinks in size, and you notice that you start finding it hard to remember things, and may also experience difficulty learning new skills. Sounds familiar? Second, the amygdala, your fear and anxiety center. This is the bell ringer of the brain, the notification button. Under chronic stress, the amygdala grows and becomes more connected and excitable. It sounds the alarm more often, even when there is no real danger. You notice that you feel more on the edge and more easily triggered. Lastly, the prefrontal cortex, your planning and control center. This part helps you focus, make decisions, and regulate emotions. But chronic stress weakens these connections, which then enables the amygdala to override it and keep sounding the alarm bells. This is what makes it harder for you to calm yourself down and more sensitive to future stress. Now here's the crux. These changes create a feedback loop. Normally, the hippocampus helps shut down the stress response, but when it's damaged, it's unable to send the all-clear signal. And so what happens? The amygdala keeps firing, cortisol stays high, and the cycle continues, reinforcing the very brain changes that keep you stuck in stress mode. This isn't just theory. Research backs it up. A 2023 study published in the Frontiers of Aging Neuroscience looked at healthy older adults and people across the Alzheimer's disease spectrum. They measured their morning cortisol levels, performed MRI scans of their brains, and tested their memory. They found that those with higher cortisol levels had smaller hippocampal volutes and performed worse on memory tests. In other words, more cortisol meant smaller memory centers. But here's the good news. Many of these changes are reversible. Good stress management can help rewire the brain. The goal is to reduce cortisol to baseline levels, and there are several ways to do this. Some of these include getting active. Exercise builds resilience. It moderates your body's stress response and helps regulate cortisol. Even light movements such as walking or stretching can make a huge difference. Relaxation exercises such as yoga, deep breathing, massage, or meditation are also very useful in regulating cortisol level. Get plenty of sleep and be intentional about relaxing. One way to achieve this is to actively create time for hobbies. Reduce multitasking as much as possible. Multitasking has been shown to increase the production of cortisol, so it is more beneficial to focus on one task at a time rather than constantly switching. Lastly, seek support. Professional counseling can teach you coping skills, and if you are using alcohol, tobacco, or food to manage stress, talk to the healthcare provider. There are better ways. Stress is inevitable, but chronic stress is not. By understanding how cortisol works, and by making choices that support your body's natural rhythms, you can protect your brain, sharpen your mind, and improve your quality of life. Now, I'd like to know, what's your most reliable stress relief strategy? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video.